There's a red light on. What should I do? Okay. Hey, before I get into what I'm talking about today, just want to ask you if you enjoy what you hear and enjoy what you see, be sure and hit subscribe and hit that notification bell. We'll keep you posted. Today I want to talk to you something about, everybody knows the story of David and Goliath, right? Giant Goliath is out there, and every day for almost a month and a half he's out there saying, anybody who wants to fight me one-on-one. And all these champions that were out there on the Israelite side were looking at the Philistine side and saying, I'm scared of him. Okay, great. We all know the story. And David gets out there and he throws a stone and he cracks the guy in the head, and he falls down, and he goes out and he takes the giant sword and chops off his head. The end, right? There's something in that story that's very cool though, and it applies to our lives as we interact with other people. It applies to business principles. It applies to our everyday walk. And I'm on the beach here. I mean, it's just fabulous. All of this coral that is washed up over the lava rock when the tides roll that up, and the tides out here, the beauty, it's just breathtaking. But I'm walking across this coral, and this coral is a perfect example. David went down to the brook. It says when he says, I'm going to fight you, and how dare you stand against the people of God, kind of thing. And but instead of running right at the giant, he ran down to a little brook, a tiny little streamlet river, and he picked up 5 smooth stones. And so I got this piece. It's a piece of coral. I'm going to put it back because I believe in that. And this thing is smooth, just like those 5 smooth stones. Now I know practically, if you put a sharp rock in a sling, you're probably going to sling it out and hit yourself in the mouth. But not just why did he pick 5 stones, and why did he pick 5? He probably picked a smooth stone because he's very skilled at his slingshot craft. But you know how they make smooth stones? Okay, here's how it goes. There's this tall, rocky mountain. A mountain just made of rock, right? And the snow falls. And the end of that rocky mountain, a piece gets way down by the snow, season after season, and finally cracks off. It's a little piece of, like a tiny little pyramid of hard, sharp rock. And if you've met people like that, you know who I'm talking about. They say, all right, I've broken off of the great mountain and I'm ready for action. And all they do is cut people. Whenever they rub up against somebody, and they're abrasive, and they cut. And you and I, all of us know people like that. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about that season, that rock broke off, and now it's ready to start its journey. And the snow comes and it melts, and it rolls it down, and that rock hits another rock, and hits another rock, and rubs up against it, and they just rub, and then the season's over. And it sits there, still up toward the top of the mountain. Next year it rains some more, it snows some more, and it melts, and then it rolls that sharp rock down a little bit, and the more it interacts with other rocks, and the more it rubs up on other rocks, the more those sharp edges kind of get rubbed off a little bit. Until finally it's down, down, down every season. It's got 3/4 of a year where it just sits there, and then one season a year it makes some progress, and then it sits there again. What in the world? What kind of life is that for a rock? I'll tell you what it is. By the time that water brings it down into a little brook, and it's smooth on its sides, now it's ready to be used properly by somebody who knows how to put it to work and how to make some difference. Because if you've got a sharp edge on you that somehow is gonna cut something, maybe smoothing that edge out a little bit can make you be able to interact a little bit more effectively, a lot more effectively, with the people that you're trying to influence. I know there's a time and a place to say stop. Doesn't mean you have to cut somebody. It's not your job. It's not my job. But in business, have you ever dealt with somebody who they had the solution, but they're just a putz. They're just rude. I don't want to deal with people like that, because there's more than one person that can have that solution. I believe that. So I'd like to find somebody that I can be cohesive with, that I'd like to work with. That, yeah, I've got their answer, so they've got my answer, so we can have some synergy, not some abrasive relationship, so that when we finally finish whatever project we're working on, we're thanking God that we're not having to deal with that person anymore. It's not the best way to do business. It's not the best way to do life. It's certainly not the best way for you and I to walk through life, having abrasive and cutting edges. By the time we've been through a couple things, maybe we can be as smooth as this piece of coral, that had to, I don't know if you can see the camera, how far did they have to crawl up on the shore? It can't crawl, it's a rock. But it had to get beat up over this lava rock to make it all the way up to where this is. Be that guy, be that gal, be that person that, all right, at once a year I finally get to move, but the other times those are just set up so that I can be ready to make forward motion, and get some abrasive cutting corners cut off me, so it'll be more effective by the time a giant comes into my life. Someone can use me effectively. God can put me to work effectively, so where I can go straight for this thing's head and take it out, because we're much more effective that way. I hope you can adapt that to something going on in your life. And if you know somebody with sharp edges, maybe they're chipping some off too. Give them some time and know that, yeah, maybe their season hasn't come where they're really effective in your life either, but it could come. Meanwhile, watch your own edges. I hope that bless you. I hope that helps you in your business, in your life, in your relationships. Until next time, we'll talk to you soon.